Hey guys, so I know I said in my previous video that I can't do any more RC videos. I'm just gonna mess around with this. I'm actually gonna replace the shocks. These two purple ones were actually HPI shocks, and then these two red ones were Arma shocks, Traxxas shocks. These two were on the front, and then I was running dual shocks in the back, which actually didn't work out very well, so that's the reason why I'm redoing the entire shock system. So I'm gonna put this down, and I actually got some new shocks. I'm trying to get this secure because it's just a little mount. I got some new shocks there, right here. I'm actually gonna see how these ones do. I hope they perform well. They're pretty full of oil at the moment, but soon enough they won't be, because I'm going to destroy these shocks. I'm going to start with the front. Let me actually get the camera over here. This is going to be a little hard getting camera positions, so just bear with. This is my first time doing this, so. All right. I'm actually going to have a sort of lift on the front. I'm actually going to keep the front lifted a little bit, but also try not to strain the shocks. Not to wedge this in here somehow. I went ahead and actually just took the shocks off of this before I actually mounted these shocks on. I may actually have to take this little stopper out, but yeah, I really don't want to, because this really actually helps with the shock. It actually helps move it around, so that way it helps keep it in place and helps it move around too. So I really don't want to take this off, and I don't want to mess up my A-arms, because my back A-arms are already messed up, so I don't want to screw up the front ones as well. Gosh dang it, man. How did I get these front ones in here? The HPI shocks, how did I get those in there? Gotta like force these things in here somehow. My neighbors are doing something. They're walking around outside. Made me think there was somebody in my yard. Scared me a little bit. Alright, to save time, I'm going to pause this really quick so that way I don't start cussing on this, and try to get this shock in here. So I'll return with the shock in here, hopefully. Alright guys, so I got the bottom of the shock in here. It only took about 3 minutes to get it in there, but what I ended up having to do was actually take this little piece out of the this little piece right here that moves it, or helps the shock move around. I ended up having to take the original one out. Sorry, I didn't realize how close I was to the camera. Oh no, my camera fell. And I really need to get an actual camera set up. Alright, anyways, what I was saying was, I ended up having to take the original piece out. Let me attempt to zoom in again. Alright, here we go. I ended up having to take this out because this part right here actually sticks out further than what the ones in the HPI ones did. So I ended up having to replace that, and that's the reason why the shock wouldn't actually go in, was because of that little piece. So where is my screws? Oh, here we go. I had some screws set aside so that way I didn't have to use some long ones that the shocks came with. I really didn't want to use those shocks and mess up my my A-arms again. So I'm going to use these ones. And let's slide that screw in there. Just wiggle it in place because this A-arm where the screw goes in place is a little bent, so I gotta wiggle that screw in there. Alright, that's in, and it's in as well, but this screw is a little too small because it's not. The screw that was in this A-arm previously holding the shock in here is actually, I believe it's thicker than this screw that I have. So I'm going to just set that one there and try to find another one. I have like an entire thing of screws right here. So let me just try to find another one. See if I have another one. This one might do. Oh shoot. Alright, just this little stupid tripod thing made my phone just come off. Now it's not gonna, now it doesn't want to work. It doesn't want to cooperate with me. Alright, hold up. Shoot, man. Alright guys, I moved the camera so you guys can actually see what I'm doing, and it hopefully won't fall this time. So I'm actually going to check these screws out. Yep, this one's thicker than the other one. So this one should actually end up going all the way through. Alright, so let's stick that there, and grab my drill. I really don't want to actually use the drill, so I'm just going to set this over here because I don't want to end up actually stripping these screws because I won't be able to get them out. And if these shocks don't last long, I'm going to end up having to replace them yet again. And that's a real bummer. Now, I actually don't use any type of Loctite. I don't use red Loctite. I don't use blue Loctite because I actually don't really want these to stay in here. Now, it's not really good to use Loctite for the shock screws because you're gonna actually want to get back in there, and you don't. And then the red Loctite, you don't want to have to heat up this screw to get it out. Or is it the blue Loctite that you get to heat up? I don't know. I'm not really good with Loctite, so I don't really care to use it. I really should have used the drill because this is a pain. But I've actually noticed that you get better results. Like you get it in, you get the screw farther in if you use your manual screwdriver instead of actually a drill, because man is the superior machine. I stole that from a TV show. I actually did not take this top mount off for the top shocks, so I'm actually gonna get that off now. Shoot, I need another set of pliers. Here we go. Just grab a hold of that. Oh shoot. Alright, now That would help if I actually had the, here we go. These ones should work. Couldn't get it off because I didn't actually have the pliers gripped onto the lock nut. You know, to save time, I'm actually gonna pause the video right quick and get this off. Alright guys, I got them off. So this right here is what was giving me so much trouble. It actually screws on there. It gets held on by a little lock nut, a very little one. Now the lock nut was right in here, so I had to like flip this up and get the pliers in there, and the pliers are a little bigger than what they need to be. I'm actually gonna do this that way you guys can see what I'm doing. Alright, you guys can see, right? Alright. So, I'm actually going to go on the front side instead of the back side, which is what I did before with the other shocks. I went on the back side to get these shocks mounted on. This time, I'm going to go on the front side. All I'm doing is just taking a screw and a small lock nut. I'm just going to get the screw in through the mount and oh, come on. Oh, don't you do this now. The lock nut does not want to go on there. Alright, here we go. It's just because of the position of the screw, and I was trying to put the lock nut on the way that it's supposed to go, but the screw is actually positioned weird. Let's tighten this up. There. Alright, now just 3 more to go. I think it would have been easier if I actually would have taken the tires off to get a better position. But I think I have time to get one more shock in, and then I'm going to stop this video and then continue on another video with the back shocks. So I'm going to get another shock in. I'm going to show you guys what I did with this. I'm actually going to take my pliers and then find a good way to get this out. Just attempt. I like how I was trying to show you guys stuff and it just does not want to work. Did it perfect. It took like 1 second to get this little thing out. But now that I want to show you guys how to do it, it does not want to work. I don't have any special tools or anything like an E-clip tool, or anything like that. So I just improvise with what I have and see where it goes from there. So I'm just going to have to use my hands to get this little thing out, but that's not going to work either. So I'm going to try again with the pliers. See if that, oh, yep, there we go. I popped it out. There we are. Now, with the HPI shocks, I'm going to do the exact same thing. These ones should be a little more easy to get out. I just had to say something because now they don't want to come out. Come on, you. Don't you be stubborn on me right now. See, the good thing about the RC hobby is, here we go. The good thing about the RC hobby is that if you get mad at a certain thing, which we all know that happens quite often, you can easily just stop what you're doing, put it down, walk it off, take a break, go do something else, cool yourself down, and then continue with what you were doing. And then if it still makes you mad, then push through it, because that's pretty much what life is. Alright, let me find that screw. Now I can't use these screws that I have set aside, so I'm going to have to find another one. Trying to find one in the same length and width, which this one should be it. So I'm going to slide the shock in here, in this last little slot down here, to keep that raise on the A-arms and to make it look like it has a lift. I'm probably going to do the same thing in the back. I just don't know how I'm going to do that. So I will do that in another video once I get this shock on here. And to make things go faster and smoother, I'm going to use the drill, just to save some time. Speaking of drills, I actually managed to get a drill motor in the back, or in this Traxxas Slash. Uh-oh. Let me just back this screw out just a little bit. Alright, now let's put it back. Alright. Make sure it's in there. Alright, it's in there. Now, I actually managed to get a drill motor in here, and it actually worked, but it scratches up the differential, or not the differential, but the spur gear back here. So I didn't want to actually use that. So I'm going to go with something else, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do. What kind of screw did I use for the top? Oh, I used one of these screws. Alright. So just slide that in there. And then come around to the other side and slide this lock nut on there. Now remember that it's at a weird angle, so you have to get that lock nut on that, or just throw the lock nut completely. Now it's a little one, so I'm gonna end up losing these. That's what I hate about these little lock nuts. You can lose them very easily. Now I'm gonna use the drill again because I just want things to go a little bit faster. But that's how you mess things up, by going too fast or trying to speed things up. But alright, that's in there. Alright. Now as you can see, there actually, it looks like there is actually a lift on the front of my Traxxas, which there actually kind of is a lift. Now it looks a little bit different right here. Now the A-arms are actually, I guess you could say slouched or at an angle, which they're normally maybe about like that on a normal Slash, but I like it raised. It gives full length on the shocks right here. And then like this, it actually compresses the shocks a little bit more, so you don't have a lot of flex room. But with it raised up, you have so much flex room, and it actually just gives it a better look. So, alright. we're going to end this video, and then I'm going to do a part 2, and then we're going to do the back shots. But I'm also going to keep it raised, kind of like how it is now, so that way it evens it out. Just about like that. We'll keep it raised a little bit like that, so it evens the truck out, so that way it doesn't look like bulldogged or something. So that's it for this one, and I'll see you guys in about 3 seconds.